What's bacon fam? It's your boy ShankAMuffin here. Did you know that deaths in League of Legends is the ultimate demise for you losing your games? The purpose of this video is to help you understand that you need to think about your decisions in order to prevent yourself from giving the enemy team the advantage of your death. I'm not here to tell you on how to be better at this game. Oh no, far from it. But as a silver 1/gold 5 player, I understand that through dying, this affects the games that you're in for yourself and your team. I'm here to help you think about your decisions and how they can lead to consequences that ultimately make your team lose your match. Deaths in video games correspond to the type of genre that you are playing. For instance, dying in Skyrim is different from dying in RuneScape, but dying in Overwatch is the same as dying in League. Both of these games share the same principle. By having a man down, this creates a harder time for yourself and your team to push objectives. Let's get into the reasons as to why you should be attentive to staying alive. The number one reason as to why dying in League is crucial to your success is due to the amount of gold that you give up. Let's assume that you died at level 9 in the mid lane against the Syndra. Because of the death timers becoming increasingly longer as the game plays out, you begin to lose out on CS. Through having to walk back to lane, as well as waiting out your death timer, you increasingly become more behind compared to your teammates, as well as to your opponent. Instead of having your opponent being only 300 gold ahead of you, they now have more than 300 gold ahead of you. Why is that though? Because of the minion waves being constantly pushed. Your opponent temporarily now has a free lane to farm in. If they are a decent player, they will easily secure the entirety of the minions that are pushing onto your tower. In retrospect, this gold difference becomes greater, resulting in the enemy player having an item advantage over you. Having 400 or 500 extra gold is enough to buy another item to help continue their build path, which in the end makes it more difficult for yourself to break even with your lane opponent. This is a simple example of dying only once, but what if you were to die 3 or 4 times in just the laning phase? As we all know, this creates a snowball effect. The power that your opponent has over you is superior to yours, resulting, if they're actually willing to help their team, for them to roam and then begin to snowball other lanes. This creates an enormous challenge for your team to return to an even playing field. As other lanes get fed, the resulting actions create a far more greater outcome of defeat. Loss of objectives. These are towers, dragons, Baron Pits, Rift Herald, hell, even a red or blue buff. Ever since Season 6, dragons are now far more important for your team than ever before. For all that do not know, these element dragons didn't exist before Season 6. Back then, dragon was solely based for gold income. Also, it's a dragon, and not Drake. If it looks like a dragon, roars like a dragon, and flies like a dragon, it's a fucking dragon. Objectives are needed in order for your team to win. By having you or your teammate be slain, this creates an opportunity for your opponents to put pressure on objectives. With the enemy team having an even greater edge with map control, your opponents will punish you. Of course, that's how it's supposed to be in theory. It's incredibly evident in high elo matches. Objectives help your team push towards the enemy base faster, as well as give you a barrier between team fights. What I mean by this is, if the enemy base has 2 inhibitors down, this allows your team to take Baron or even Elder Dragon, or both. With 2 inhibitors down, teammates must stay behind in order to protect the base, making teamfight potential minimal. Objectives are here to aid you. Take advantage of them and make use of their attributes. Look ahead of the game. Make your plays with thoughtful analysis and think, will I make it out of this alive? By being actively observant of your situation, you'll die less, which in return helps push your team towards victory. Loss of experience? What do you mean by that, Shank? I play League on the daily. I can't lose experience. Yes, that's true, but you're thinking of the wrong form of experience. What I mean by loss of experience is that once someone is executed, their champion loses out on potential experience to help level their champion. By dying often, this person can fall behind in levels. This decreases their DPS by an amount that corresponds as to what level everyone is. In teamfight scenarios, being down 2 or 3 levels can change the outcome of the situation. In 1 versus 1 situations, even a 1 level difference can change the fate of a lane. For instance, if I'm playing Ahri and I was against a Lux, and I get level 6 before Lux, I could instantly go all in and easily kill Lux due to my utility and DPS. The more often you die in your matches, the more and more you fall further and further behind. Also, depending on your runes and mastery setup, the more levels you have on your champion, the more tanky you can become, as well as more utility that you can acquire. For instance, scaling runes of armor, MR, cooldown reduction, and etc. Having these extra bonuses can help you crush your opponents even further. This one is really the defining factor as to why dying in League affects your game greatly. When you're down a player, this hinders your team. Depending on who it is, this can affect DPS, crowd control, defending, and lastly, engaging. With an ADC down, your team's DPS drastically is reduced due to the lack of pure power that your team has. If a support is down, then now you have less shielding and possible crowd control to help turn around a fight. Or, if things get a little bit too dangerous, leave the fight. With having a player down, the enemy team will most likely force a fight onto you. For instance, as I play Kennen, I constantly look for potential group fights due to the power of my ultimate. Kennen is a champion where he can be thrown in and turn around a fight due to the crowd control he has. Even if my team has a man down and I'm playing as Kennen, I can help out the lane that I'm trying to gank or help out the team fight that's occurring. The one thing I want to stress to everyone that plays this game is, punish your opponent as soon as they make a mistake. If you see an opportunity, take it. Sometimes it's worth the risk, as rewards may be greater for either you yourself or your team. Play safe though, and wait for the enemy to slip up in order to take advantage for you to punish them. Staying alive as long as possible reaps huge benefits for your team as a whole. With a 5-man squad, the team fights that break out will surely be a bloodbath. I think I can safely say for everyone that has made it this far in the video, that when you have a teammate who is 0-6 and their lane is snowballing other lanes, you lose the drive to continue forward. For me personally, there have been many times where I've wanted to quit after 20 minutes into a match because of the amount of slaughtering that occurred against my team. To keep morales high, staying alive and continue to perform well helps your team push forward towards victory. The more and more that someone dies, the higher the probability that someone will go on tilt. And when one person performs poorly, this can affect other members of your team who will also perform poorly. All of this can be prevented if you focus on staying alive as long as you can. I know that all these things are easier said than done. I also know that you can't have a perfect game every single time that you queue up, but knowing how you're actively engaging to become better and improve upon your skills is what will make you better. There are many aspects to winning in League, and through this video I hope to shed some light into how you view deaths in League differently. I understand that there are times where the jungler will camp your lane, or your RNG will screw you over. But as stated before, as long as you're actively trying to better yourself as well as your team, you'll be surprised how far you can go. Anyways guys, I'm ShankAMuffin, I'm signing out.